So here's the question, right?
Commitment to
The question is, when we're talking about freezing rent in Zoran Mamdani's mayorship, we're talking about freezing rent, we're talking about all these different things, right? Here's the question. All these apartments, buildings, things like that, they're owned by someone, right? The landlords. And I know that communists like to say, oh, we're going to eat the rich, kill all the landlords, let the streets run red with their capitalist blood, you know, which was actually a quote said by Hassan Piker. Figure that. Not banned on Twitch for that, by the way. Allowed to happen. Anyways, but before their capitalist blood runs the streets red and all the landlords are dead, yada, yada, yada. Let's think for a second. What's going to happen to all those landlords that, I guess, have to like make a living, right? I mean, that's how they make a living, with their investment into the land that they then rent out. That's quite literally how they pay bills. Whether or not you agree with that, like, that is a concern, right? That these people are going to be destitute. How do they survive in a world where there's no longer any rent and all the rent has been freezed? Well, let's figure that out. What does Zoran Mamdani think about that? Let's see.
My commitment to a rent freeze is one in recognition of the data that we see, where revenues for these landlords keep going up. And if there is a landlord for whom that overall picture is not an accurate reflection, I would continue to embrace the program the city has that would provide relief for those landlords that can open up their books and show that their cost to revenue ratio is simply not operable. My commitment to
Oh, so the landlords, they're going to go on government assistance. Okay, right. Oh, that makes sense. So the question is, how is this government assistance working for these landlords that apply for it?
Boneclinks said if rent-stabilized landlords were really struggling, they should use the state's hardship program.
There is a city program that provides assistance to those kinds of landlords.
Great idea. Let's look into it.
Kenny, Habibi, how could you do this to me? The final question.
Last year, there were only 3 hardship applications filed statewide, but countless housing experts report massive distress in rent-stabilized buildings. So what gives? The problem isn't a lack of hardship, it's a program that doesn't work. Since 2022, every application filed has been rejected. Why is that? Because the program is designed to fail. Owners who have tried describe it as a maze of red tape, denying for things as minor as sending a form in duplicate instead of triplicate, a word that I just learned. One small Manhattan owner shared his story. He applied multiple times, only to be rejected again and again for these trivial reasons. Even when he corrected everything, months passed before anyone even opened his file. And when they did, they rejected him again. Unfortunately, this story isn't unique to this owner. It's the norm, and it's why hardly anyone applies. Another reason owners won't go through this hassle is because many will look for relief by challenging their property taxes, but the state will prohibit them from filing a hardship application if they've done so. So it's no surprise that more than 15,000 rent-stabilized buildings sought relief by challenging their taxes instead of filing for hardship. So how do we fix this? We can streamline the process so owners aren't denied for silly little mistakes and then left in the dark for months at a time just to be rejected. And
so here's the thing. Zoran's entire plan is to take away the ability for landlords to make any money whatsoever on their investments, and then says that those landlords should then file for assistance programs. But those assistance programs specifically that he's talking about are broken beyond all repair and do not provide any assistance whatsoever to struggling landlords. So what really is the answer? And I think you'll find that Zoran Mamdani does not have an answer, does not know what he's talking about, and is not qualified to be mayor of New York City. These are all just lofty ideals about a communist utopia that inherently will not work and cannot function. That is the bottom line.